I'm famously over the top in my circle of friends. After seeing a video of someone holding a funeral while still alive, I sent out a funeral invitation to each of my close friends. Friend 1 texted, "Sweetie, stop being dramatic." Friend 2 texted, "Busy with overtime, no time to play along." Friend 3 texted, "Typical you, no one believes that I'm actually about to die. Is my credibility really that bad?" Sitting on my hospital bed, I reflected for a couple of seconds. I figured the problem must be with the shoddy invitation I made. After all, the idea only popped into my head a couple of days ago, and the card just had one line printed on it: March 17th, welcome to Summer's funeral. When friend 1, Mia, received the courier, she complained to me, "What is this? Some new scam? Using your name almost gave me a heart attack. I'm calling the police." I immediately forwarded her the video of the blogger holding their own funeral and explained, "This is real. I really want to hold a funeral for myself." Mia was silent for a long time before asking, "What are you trying to achieve?" I hesitated for a moment, then decided to use this opportunity to be completely honest. "I want to say goodbye to you all before I die." "Mia, sweetie, stop being dramatic." She dropped that line and ignored me after. "What? I'm about to die, and you're ignoring me? Heavens, you heartless Mia. I can't believe I even let you wear my diapers when we were kids." No matter how much I ranted and raved, Mia responded with nothing but chilly silence. Then came a message from friend 2, Jenny, the workaholic powerhouse, even colder than Mia, "Busy with overtime, no time to play." Friend 3, Kevin, was just clueless. "Ha ha ha, that's so you, this goofball," thinking I was just messing with him. Alright then, I decided to go out with a bang before I die. Ever since I was young, I've always been a doer. My friends would call me a drama queen. One night after our high school graduation, as Mia stared into the polluted, starless sky, she offhandedly remarked, "With all this pollution, you can't even see the stars anymore." Spurred by that comment, I suddenly proposed, "Why don't we go see the stars right now?" So, under my dramatic leadership, 4 friends followed me on a 3-hour night ride, eventually climbing to the top of a hill in the suburbs. As dawn began to break, everyone was still puzzled. Kevin, in his typical slow-witted manner, asked, "Summer, it's almost daylight, where are the stars?" I gleefully responded off-topic, "Great, we can watch the sunrise now." We all fell silent. Later, as Mia gazed at the majestic sunrise, she cursed me, "Summer, you're insane." Sometimes, I think I am a bit crazy, always impulsive, always loud. So, when I decided to hold a funeral for myself, I immediately sprang into action. I planned to have a portrait taken for the occasion. For that, I got my hair washed and went to the photo studio feeling fresh. "Miss, are you sure you want to take it like this?" the photographer hesitantly asked. "Yes, just like this," I replied, touching my head and flashing a grin. "First time going bald, might as well commemorate it." The photographer, barely holding back a laugh, clicked the shutter and asked about the size for the photo. "For the funeral, what size do you think is appropriate?" "I want it in color, not black and white." His hands trembled slightly as he held the camera, glancing at my bald head. He finally realized. His lips buzzed, and after a moment, he managed a forced smile. "This must be the most beautiful photo I've ever taken in my life." I gave him a thumbs up in agreement. After all, I had specifically chosen this look for the camera. It's all about making a stunning impression. As long as it's good weather on the day of the funeral, with sunlight shining on the photos, then I'll be shining too. After the photo shoot, I immediately sought out an event planning company. The funeral date was set for 2 weeks later, giving us time to prepare the venue and decorations. I made my requests enthusiastically. I'd like it to be held on an outdoor lawn, preferably with mountains and water nearby, for beautiful photo opportunities. Although it's a funeral, I want the overall style to lean towards a high-end party, complete with a check-in wall and a snack area. Most importantly, the atmosphere should be joyful, making people feel happy as soon as they step in. The planners took notes apprehensively and looked up at me. "Excuse me, could you confirm who this ceremony is for?" I smiled and pointed at myself. "Me, Summer." The planners looked shocked. "I know this seems a bit supernatural, but don't worry, I'm still alive for now." Seeing their uneasy expressions, I joked to reassure them, "Don't worry about the budget, I'm about to die, so money is of no use to me anymore." the young lady across from me asked with a trembling voice. How old are you? I proudly held up 5 fingers. I've lived for 25 years. Impressive, right? Hey, don't cry, the world is truly filled with kindness. The planning company offered to set up the ceremony site for free. I couldn't help but laugh and cry, politely declining their kind offer. But just before leaving, I asked sheepishly, could you make me a formal, digital invitation? After handling everything, I returned to the hospital. That night, just as I was about to fall asleep, a new message popped up in the group chat of 5 friends. Mia, where have you been going crazy lately? Before I could respond, Kevin chimed in, yeah, Summer, you haven't posted photos in a long time. Since the award, our Summer, the great photographer, has become more mysterious. The two started gossiping about me in the chat, complaining that I hadn't even come home for the holidays. I found it amusing. They believed my invitation was a prank, yet they couldn't let it go and seemed to seek my reassurance here. I mischievously kept silent. After all, this group used to complain I was too noisy. After graduation, everyone was busy becoming workers in society, and contact became sparse. Only I, as a freelance landscape photographer, would occasionally share beautiful scenery from different places in the group. Mia and Kevin couldn't stand it and would exclaim, Summer, that's enough. Stop making us jealous. A year ago, my photography won an international award, and I suggested a get-together in the group. Everyone was busy, and it never happened. As children, we always complained that the school was too small, always bumping into familiar faces. As adults, we became stars scattered across the globe, visible yet unreachable. But I am grateful, because on the day the gathering fell through, I was diagnosed with cancer. It was a relief that they weren't there. My thoughts drifted as I clicked on the group members page. My eyes instinctively looked at the last one, the darkened profile picture, my 4th best friend, the star that drifted the farthest. We hadn't seen each other in many years. Just as I was thinking this, as if by some cosmic connection, an international call came through. Caller, Casper, I have 4 best friends. 3 of them I've known since we were in diapers, but Casper came into my life later. He moved into our neighborhood with his father when he was 6, becoming neighbors with my family. His father worked during the day and was often not home. Knowing he was from a single-parent home, my mom, ever warm-hearted, took it upon herself to. I always invited him over for meals at my house. Naturally, I pulled him into our little group, but Casper didn't quite fit in with us rowdy bunch. He was always neatly dressed, behaved properly, and neither liked to play nor talk much. At first, little Kevin even complained to me, why did you bring him here? He's like a block of wood. I don't want to play with him. I patiently explained to him, a well-behaved kid like him can fool adults, and having him around is the only reason my mom lets us go out to play. Plus, he's got a great temperament. Just watch. To prove Casper's good qualities, I crept up behind him, trying to give him a scare. Unexpectedly, just as I leaned in close, Casper heard me and suddenly turned around. My first kiss was thus unintentionally given to Casper's cheek. This incident, however, earned Casper unwavering loyalty from our group. They said, gosh, Casper's temperament is too good. Summer embarrassed him like that and he didn't even get mad. I've always suspected that Casper did it on purpose. He might have heard me earlier but waited until I was close enough before turning around. After all, he's always been a perceptive person. Summer, a low voice came through the phone. Casper uncertainly asked, I just received a strange letter. Did you send it? It was early morning in New York when Casper received the invitation I had urgently sent. Sleepily, I responded. Casper's breathing paused, then he said, Summer, don't joke about this. I really wanted to tease Casper a bit more, to see what a few years had changed in him, but my body was too weak to fight the urge to sleep. No joke, I managed to say, fighting the drowsiness, Casper, I'm dying. The line went silent. After a long pause and my breathing becoming heavier, I murmured, if you don't say something, I'm going to sleep, and then I completely fell asleep, faintly hearing someone calling my name, tremulously, cautiously. The next day, I woke up to see that my call with Casper had lasted 2 hours before it was disconnected. Confused, but not dwelling on it, a nurse scolded me for sneaking out of the hospital. I quickly charmed my way out of trouble just as the event planning company sent over site options for the venue, a lawn by a lakeside lodge. I quickly finalized it and arranged the day's ceremony with them. By noon, the planning company sent 3 digital versions of the invitation. Take a look, if you don't like any, we'll make more. Since they knew I was the host of a funeral, their tone was constantly gentle, not wanting to let their kindness go to waste. I sent all 3 versions to our group chat. P.S. I hope everyone can do me the honor of attending my funeral. Almost instantly, the replies flooded in. Jenny texted 3 question marks. Kevin texted 3 question marks. Mia texted 3 question marks. Summer, what are you doing? Summer, enough, stop joking. It's kind of scary. Oh, well. It seems I really did overdo it in the past. Half a year ago, before I went skydiving in Barcelona, I posted what amounted to a suicide note in the group chat. That really scared everyone at the time and damaged my credibility. But looking through the messages, I didn't see one from Casper. I'm sorry, this time it's for real. I admitted my mistake and bitterly sent out my medical diagnosis along with the hospital's location. It was as if someone hit the pause button. And all the messages in the group chat stopped abruptly. No one spoke again. Leaning against the headboard, I looked out the window at the daylight and thought of Borges' line, when a man dies, it's as if he vanishes into water. My gaze gradually became vacant. I don't know how much time passed. Suddenly, the door to the room was pushed open, with a familiar voice. Summer, unexpectedly. Casper was the first to appear at the door of the ward, looking travel-worn. New York was the furthest, requiring over 10 hours by flight. He must have rushed to the airport while he was on the phone with me. I stared blankly at the figure at the door. He too stared blankly back at me. Summer. Casper uncertainly took a step forward, then another. Each step seemed as if he were walking on knife blades. His expression was really grim. I tried to lighten the mood. Long time no see, Casper, with reddened eyes. Cut off my small talk. Summer, come with me to America. I was stunned again. I am born Chinese, and I shall die with the soul of a Chinese. He leaned down and repeated, Summer, come with me to America. It was a plea. I understood what he meant, sighed, and said in a lighter tone, the doctor told me just to enjoy life right now. Everything else, hey, you can't cry, you're the strongest among us. I reached out to poke his cheek close to me. Just as I lifted my hand, he grasped it in his palm. A tear suddenly fell on the back of my hand. Casper's forehead rested against mine, and he slowly closed his eyes. Summer, I'm not as strong as you think. I knew that. Casper, who appeared aloof, was actually a coward. At 17, just before the college entrance exams, Casper's mother suddenly appeared in our community, saying she wanted to take him abroad. We didn't know how his parents negotiated, but the outcome was clear. After the exams, Casper would follow his mother to America. That night, he knocked on my door. His eyes red as he said, Summer, I don't want to go. He hugged me, his voice trembling. Summer, I'm scared. I comforted him for a long time until he calmed down, but now, no amount of comforting seemed to work. Ah, my head hurts. I feigned coquettishness, and Casper, choking up, lifted his head. Summer, you're lying to me. He wasn't talking about the present. My gaze guiltily shifted, and I caught the eye of another person at the door. Jenny, in a business suit, had been standing there silently, unnoticed for how long. Our eyes met, and her body jolted. I joyfully called out, Jenny. Jenny covered her mouth and suddenly turned and ran away. Jenny must be hiding and crying again. I'll go check on her. I indicated for Casper to let go of my hand, but he remained unmoved. I sighed deeply, utterly helpless. Everyone's a crybaby. I hadn't even started to comfort them when Mia and Kevin also arrived one after the other. Mia rushed to the bedside and stumbled. Before I could even say a word, tears began cascading down my face. Kevin, who usually goofed around as the cheerful big guy, looked as if he had suffered a great injustice at the moment. He choked up several times, and finally only managed to say, Summer, you've lost weight. For some reason, that made my eyes suddenly sting. This won't do at all. I'm supposed to be the strongest one. I can't let their emotions get to me. I covered my head and exaggeratedly exclaimed, if you keep crying, my head will just, without warning, a wave of pain swept over me. In the blink of an eye, I plunged into an endless darkness. What is death? At 16, I was hastily summoned from class by a teacher to be told that my parents had been in a car accident. Standing in front of the hospital's emergency room, I faced that question. Back then, I thought death came swiftly and unexpectedly, leaving me utterly defenseless, until a year ago, when I received a hospital diagnosis. Casper called me and said, "Summer, I'm back in the country to celebrate your award." He had returned many times over the past few years, but for various reasons, we always missed each other. This time, I knew we were in the same city, but I lied to him, saying I was in Paris. He was silent for a long time before suddenly asking, "When will you be back? Can I stay here and wait for you?" I jokingly countered, "How long can you wait? Are you going to give up your job on Wall Street?" Casper's response was almost immediate, "Summer, I'll wait as long as you want me to." I've always known that between Casper and me, there was only a thin veil, but I thought that with time and distance, that veil would eventually disappear. Yet that day, Casper tentatively laid it out again. I looked up at the gloomy sky and softly told him, "No need." That day I realized that death could also be a process, dealing with the body and cold instruments, battling with the grim reaper mentally. Half a year ago, during my first chemotherapy, I was in agony. I ran off to Barcelona and crazily vented in the group chat about wanting to kill myself. I was actually telling the truth. But Jenny, like when we were kids, soothed me. "Summer, sweetie, just cry if you're hurting, okay?" I cried through a skydive and then laughed with them, saying, "Trying to die feels pretty good." On New Year's Eve, Mia complained over the phone, "Why are you so silly? You can't even plan your time right. We're all home, and you're the only one who can't make it for the new year." I lied to them that I was in faraway New Zealand. In reality, I was lying in a hospital bed, staring at the moonlight. The hospital was only 6 kilometers from home. I joked with Mia, "If you miss me that much, just take a taxi to see me." I've always kept it from them, deceiving them, afraid to tell them, because I know, once I speak, they would stop at nothing to be by my side. This year, I've grown accustomed to the illness. I thought I had become strong enough to calmly face death, but the moment I opened my eyes and saw them all there, suddenly, I felt my tears welling up. "Summer," they called my name, gathering around me one by one. Seeing those tense faces, each pair of eyes swollen red like walnuts. For some reason, I laughed again, feeling a bit smug. "So you all decided to come to my funeral, huh?" As I spoke, I realized how weak my voice sounded. Kevin started crying again, but quickly turned and hid behind everyone else. They all tacitly tried not to show their sadness in front of me. Mia clenched her teeth tightly, angrily cursing, "Summer, you jerk." We had argued so many times since childhood, yet her cursing never improved. I ignored her words and handed out several sheets of paper from the bedside table. "Attending my funeral won't be so easy. You'll need to sign an agreement first." It was the funeral attendance rules I had printed out earlier, just 3. Rule 1, unconditionally comply with every part of the funeral arrangement. Rule 2, follow the party's dress code. Rule 3, no crying allowed. Watching them sign one by one, I smiled contentedly, but soon, I couldn't smile anymore. My body, which had held on for a year, seemed to finally be running out of steam, sending out the strongest signal yet. I didn't have time to catch up with them before entering another round of treatment, yet every time I opened my eyes, I could see them, as if no time had passed at all. I wondered, "Don't you guys have to work?" Mia opened her mouth as if she wanted to curse me, but then became too timid to say anything. Casper tightly pursed his lips, his gaze dark and unblinking as he watched me. Jenny couldn't hold back and choked up a bit, quickly turning her face away. Kevin's eyes were so swollen he could barely open them. I looked at each of their faces, full of reluctance to let go. It seemed my wish for a grand and joyful farewell might not come true. If I can't make it to the funeral, no, I had to hold on a little longer. The doctors and nurses were all working hard for it. The event planning team was giving it their all, 200%. The venue had agreed to indefinitely hold the reservation for me, and I hadn't yet had the chance to say goodbye to my friends. With these thoughts, one day, my will once again overcame my physical limits. I woke from the fog of time and showed everyone a radiant smile. "All right, let's get started." After a 5-day delay, my funeral finally began. I sat in a wheelchair, pushed by the staff of the venue to the entrance of the lawn. A dreamy wall decorated with fresh flowers greeted guests, bearing the large title, "Summer's Funeral." Below it, a list of names: attendee, Mia; attendee, Jenny; attendee, Kevin, attendee, Casper. As I moved past the sign-in wall and entered the lawn covered in flowers and balloons, I found it eerily empty. Just as I was puzzled, the central electronic screen on the lawn suddenly began to play automatically. Slowly, a line of text appeared, Summer's life in pictures. This was the first part of the funeral. I had wanted to make a short film, but due to my illness, I hadn't managed to complete it. 2 days ago, when I was lucid, I had the planning company cancel this segment, but now, it seemed my friends had completed it for me. A photo of a baby appeared on the screen. Summer was born on a bright summer morning. Her parents hoped she would have a peaceful life, full of passion like summer, thus naming her Summer. Mia's voice emerged in the video, her tone cheerful as she narrated. Summer was a charming little girl from the start. Chosen as a wedding flower girl at 2, and by 4, she was the children's leader in her neighborhood. The video began to shake, showing an old clip. In it, a 4-year-old Summer, with her hair in a bun and wearing a red cotton jacket, stood on a rock in the neighborhood, shouting to a group of little kids below, "Comrades, the treasure is right ahead, follow me and charge." Little Kevin was the first to run forward, but tripped and fell, lying on the ground unsure whether to cry or not. "Comrade Kevin, you hide here and cover our retreat," said little Summer, who briefly persuaded little Kevin and he solemnly accepted the task. That day, little Kevin lay under the bushes for almost an hour until Mia's mom, who was filming the video, came running back to pick him up, laughing, "Oh my, I almost left you behind here, haha." The second video was from when they were 6 years old. Little Summer sneakily crept up and accidentally kissed little Casper on the back. This scene was secretly captured on the cell phones of Summer's mom and Mia's mom as they walked by, their excited shrieks audible in the footage. "Ah, she kissed him, she did." Then there was the time when 12-year-old Summer, now a young girl, faced the camera with a gloomy expression. "Jenny did poorly on her test and has hidden away to cry again." Off camera, Jenny's mom asked, "If you knew she was hiding, why did you come over to look for her?" "I'm waiting for her to come home after she's done crying. Then I'll give her a hug." Summer appeared slightly proud. "I'm really good at comforting people. I can definitely cheer Jenny up." At 15, during a school sports event, Summer had to run the 1500 meters race for girls because she lost a bet. Her close friends, coerced by her threats, all agreed to run alongside her. Just before the race started, Summer, standing on the track and looking around, didn't see anyone. She bent down to check her shoelaces and suddenly heard someone shouting her name. Looking up, she saw 4 figures running towards her from a distance. Under the intense sun on the field, the 4 boys in white shirts ran against the light, the breeze lifting their shirts. "Summer," Mia waved and called out from afar, "Summer, we're here." Their voice from the scene overlapped strangely with a voice outside the screen. I suddenly turned my head. This lawn, adjacent to scenic mountains and rivers, was bathed in the warm spring sun, illuminating the mountains and bringing splendor to the world. Mia and Jenny in their dresses, Casper and Kevin in dapper suits, appeared in the most dazzling spot. The 4 youths seemed to have grown up overnight. Stepping out from their youth, they approached me, smiling, and said, "Summer, we're here." My heart felt incredibly heavy, but I forced a smile. We had agreed no crying, and I couldn't be the first to break that rule. I preemptively quipped, "You guys are late." Casper stepped forward to handle my wheelchair, and Mia pouted in disagreement. "Summer, it's actually you who's late." I shrugged generously. "All right, for the second part, I owe you all a heartfelt truth." The second part of the funeral was, listen without judgment. Everyone was to reveal a secret about someone else, and the subject could only listen, not respond. After everyone sat at the long table, Kevin was the first to speak. "Mia, that comic book you loved in elementary school and lost, I actually took it to prop up a table leg and I forgot to tell you." Mia glared at Kevin, instinctively wanting to curse, but remembering the rules of the game, she held back. She turned to Jenny, hesitated for a moment, then spoke. "Jenny, in high school, the senior you had a crush on who suddenly became distant, it was because I had rejected his confession." "I know." Jenny suddenly smiled and looked back at Mia. "I didn't beat him up because he became distant suddenly. I did it because I heard he spoke ill of you after you rejected him." Mia was stunned. I listened with a mischievous smile, pretending to be dissatisfied. "Hey, don't you all have some little secrets you're keeping from me? I want to hear them too." Kevin immediately chimed in. How could anything be kept from you with your keen eyes? I was just about to boast when Casper interrupted with his deep voice, looking intently at me. Summer, that year when you were 6, I was actually always waiting for you to come closer. I actually wanted to give you a little scare too. He said this with a faint smile playing at the corners of his lips. My lips curved into a smile too, just as I was about to respond, but then Casper's voice continued, and a year ago, you told me not to wait. I said I'd be back to New York the next day, but I actually stayed here and waited another 7 days, and 2 years ago on New Year's Eve, I called you from New York. What I said that day, it wasn't just drunk talk. 2 years ago on New Year's Eve, Casper couldn't return home because his mother was ill. He called me at night to wish me a happy new year. I joked with him, we're not even in the same time zone. It's not New Year's yet by your time. Casper almost blurted out, I want to be in your time. It was a line that could be taken as a confession, a flirtatious hint, but before I could respond, he hung up the phone, blaming it on being drunk, and also, Casper was still walking backwards through his memories. It seemed he wanted to reveal all the little secrets related to me. My face maintained a light smile, seemingly calm and composed, yet my hands clenched silently in my lap, and that year when we were 17, waiting for the sunrise on the mountain, while waiting for the sunrise, Kevin couldn't stay still and wandered around the mountaintop. Jenny and Mia were busy taking photos from different angles. Only Casper and I sat there waiting. I leaned against Casper's shoulder and asked him to wake me before the sunrise. Before waking me, Casper whispered something in my ear. The words you didn't hear then were, Summer. I like you. The wind in the mountains quickened my heartbeat. For a moment, I saw spring and brightness in Casper's eyes. I was so dazzled that I closed my eyes. Summer, did you hear that? Casper's voice was barely audible, hoarse with emotion. I opened my eyes and smiled faintly. I heard it. I had heard it when I was 17. But back then, standing at the crossroads of the future, I lacked the courage to keep you, so I pretended to sleep, just like now. Standing at the threshold between life and death, I lack the courage to respond to you, so I pretend not to care. Don't blame me. Those who are dying will eventually pass away, and those who are alive must live well. I looked straight into Casper's eyes, watching as he slowly lowered his head. All words seemed powerless. He responded, and again, The room fell silent for a moment. Jenny was the first to break the silence, shifting the topic. Summer, it's your turn. I playfully shirked. I don't have any little secrets. I'll just use a truth as my contribution. Ask me anything. After speaking, I quickly held up a finger to add, just one question though. Summer, you're being stingy, I said proudly. Can't help it. That's just who I am. Jenny and Mia looked at each other, and after a while, it was Jenny who spoke first. Her voice lowered a few notches, trembling. Summer, do you have any regrets? I met her moist eyes and looked at the other three with equally tense expressions. I smiled, my tone confident. I've lived a life full enough. It seemed everyone breathed a sigh of relief at once. Mia choked up and muttered, don't be too proud. My smile grew even more joyful. I kept smiling until the corners of my eyes were moist. Then I looked at them and said, the greatest pride of my life is having 4 very, very good friends. The third part of the funeral, freestyle eulogies. The deceased can't hear the eulogies. Better to say goodbye while still alive. It isn't me saying goodbye to them, but them saying goodbye to me. And the reason it's freestyle is, this segment was kept confidential from everyone until it started. They were completely unprepared. Summer, don't make it hard for us. Mia looked pained, tears on the verge of falling. You'll get better. You're right here. What are we mourning for? It seemed that the true nature of this funeral finally revealed itself at that moment. Cruelly sad. Don't forget, you all signed an agreement. No backing out. I raised my tone, trying to lighten the mood. If you can't think of anything to say, you can compliment me. I love hearing sweet nothings. I don't want to. Mia tried to resist. But Kevin, who had been silent, suddenly stood up. If Summer wants to hear it, then I'll say it. Mia, shocked. Kevin, with tears in his eyes. Kevin said word by word, don't let Summer have any regrets. I stared blankly at Kevin, momentarily dazzled by his presence. He looked back at me, his lips trembling. Summer. He had just called my name when his throat seemed to close up. He took a deep breath before continuing. Summer, you're the bravest person I've ever known. As a kid, I loved following you around because I felt fearless with you. You're smart and funny. I felt warm inside as I awaited more praise. Kevin paused, then suddenly broke into tears. I can't go on, wah. He buried his head in the table, sobbing deeply. I felt both amused and heartbroken, but Kevin's words had an effect, and Mia also began to speak. Summer, you know I'm not good with words. She forced a relaxed smile, tears already streaming down her face. I want you to be happy. I want every moment of your life to be joyful, so I won't cry. She said this. But her face was already wet with tears. I suddenly regretted setting up this part of the event, but they didn't give me a chance to back out. Summer, don't you dare leave us so easily. Jenny bit her lip, her tone fierce. If you dare leave us, I'll make your least favorite mango cake every birthday. I won't save any sparklers for you during the fireworks every New Year. She couldn't continue after a few words. Really? That harsh? I laughed weakly, finally realizing, in just these few segments, my condition had deteriorated so much that I could barely hold on. Summer, let's go back to the hospital. Casper's voice was extremely gentle. Don't be stubborn, it's your turn. I slowly blinked, weakly threatening. If you don't speak, I might just fall asleep. Summer, Casper cradled my gradually slumping face, his forehead gently touching mine. Confused, I lifted my eyelids, feeling a tear drop on my eyelashes. It trembled slightly, and as it fell, it felt like rain in my heart. Summer. Casper's voice was hoarse, as if surrendering. I offer you the loyalty of a person who never had faith before. I offer you the core of myself that I've managed to preserve, unconstructed by dreams, untouched by time's joys and adversities. I offer you the memory of a yellow rose I saw one evening many years before you were born. I offer you interpretations about your life, theories about your very real and astonishing existence. I give you my loneliness, my darkness, the hunger of my heart. I try to touch you with confusion, danger, failure. His voice floated into my ears, like a lullaby. Slowly, I closed my eyes, cursing and laughing in my mind. Casper, that cunning man, how could he use poetry to appease me? What was that poem again? I vaguely remembered. It was by Borges. What can I use to keep you? When I opened my eyes again, I was back in the hospital bed. Summer's awake. I faced the familiar faces again, just regaining consciousness. I couldn't help but grumble. The funeral's not over yet. There was still the urn DIY and the band's performance segment, which I was really looking forward to. That was my favorite band. They had come especially because of my illness, but I didn't hear even one song. I was deeply upset. We didn't even take a group photo. We did. A drone filmed everything. Jenny's voice was hoarse as she comforted me. The band also performed. They specifically recorded a video for you to watch. I was delighted again. But still acting picky. That's not perfect. I don't care. I want to hold another funeral. Alright, we'll hold another one, once you get better. Feeling indulged was truly satisfying. I comfortably drifted off to sleep, reminding, next time you all have to write me blessings. Just write, long live friendship. In a blink, summer arrived. Summer's second funeral was held as scheduled. Kevin was still the one who cried the most. Mia, holding back her tears, warned Kevin. Summer said no crying. Jenny nitpicked the venue setup. This flower isn't blooming well. The weather today is bad. Summer's photo is crooked. Casper stood still, like a piece of wood waiting for someone to approach. Summer said, "Goodbye, my friend." These words serve as her epitaph. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.